the smoke-filled clouds of the 303, all the way down to the 505. This is the Dro Bro Show with Remo Vinci, Grimx, and Soul Doja. Yeah, the Dro Bro Show.
Lights, camera, action.
What's up, everybody? This is Mr. Vicious Remo Vinci, and we're back with episode 7 of the Dro Bro Show. And I'm here as always with my fellow Dro Bros, Grimx and Soul Doja. Say what's up, fellas.
What up, everyone?
We are back, and we got our WrestleMania recap for y'all today. I'm sure y'all can kind of tell for the last couple of weeks, actually, I've been under the weather, man. I've had a nasty cold or cough or something that's just been jacking me up. So I apologize for the hoarseness in my voice and all the craziness, but we're gonna get through it. We're gonna power through it today. Anyway, Doja, I'm real curious. Were you able to watch any of WrestleMania? Oh,
It's
how much?
cool.
I know the Rock one.
So if you've seen the movie Waiting, right? Joe's that guy making the facial expressions as we basically take him through this Alice in Wonderland type tour. No, and I mean it's like that for the viewer because then see they could relate. If someone doesn't understand wrestling and we break it down for you.
That's a great point. I was actually explaining that same thing to my girl earlier today because Doja, you do kind of represent that part of our audience. So it's like us catching you up on all the storylines and all the game and stuff like that, and you're reacting to it as such. Anyway, Grim, how much were you able to watch?
All of it. But before we get too much into the Mania story, we would be remiss if we don't touch on the biggest news in wrestling right now. And just real quick, I don't want to spend too much time on it because we do have the WrestleMania, but the CM Punk Jack Perry footage that released. And because on the last episode, we talked about CM Punk's interview. And on that interview, he said certain things about that incident. And AEW wanted to come back. They had the Young Bucks introduce it to try to make this kayfabe story and try to do the curtain call storyline, but didn't do it as well. And instead, what they ended up doing is making themselves look even more childish, I guess, and petty by showing this footage. And it basically proves everything that CM Punk was saying, as opposed to saying that he was a liar or saying that he's exposing things he shouldn't have. Basically, what he said in his interview is what the footage pretty much confirms. So the reality is that in that situation, you know, the people that were more wrong were the people who blew it out of proportion, say the reporters and things like that. And when Tony Khan came out and said he feared for his life, it makes it look more not as threatening as it was once told to us.
Yeah. Doja, do you have any idea what he's talking about right now?
All in London, AEW's pay-per-view, CM Punk's last match with AEW. So basically, he was going out to fight Samoa Joe for the real AEW title because there was a whole storyline going where MJF's the champ. But CM Punk never tapped or submitted. They stripped him of the title, even though he wasn't even out to be stripped. And it was all over his media scrum in that fight that broke out was that All Out? And then All In is where him and Jack Perry have a scuffle behind the scenes because Jack Perry wanted to go, and this is Luke Perry's son, Soul Doja. So the actor Luke Perry, his son was Jungle Boy, and now he's going by a new persona, his real name, Jack Perry. He wanted to go through a real glass window on a rental car with Hook, Taz's son, was going to suplex him through a real glass window. He was told that it was a bad idea because this is real glass. Real injuries could occur. What happens if glass gets in your guys' eyes or anything like that, or you cut a artery? And he's like, I don't care. I'm doing it anyways. They have Punk talk to him, and Punk's basically like, dude, you got to think about this. This is a rental car. What are you going to do? Return it without a windshield? And then now you have rental car agencies all across the U.S. not want to rent to wrestlers. He says you have to think about the repercussions of these things. There's better ways to do it. And at the show, dude does it, and he looks right in the camera, knowing that CM Punk's behind the scenes watching at gorilla position. And for those of you who don't know, gorilla position is the point backstage right behind the curtain before the wrestler comes out when their music hits. So there's a monitor there for them to watch the show so they know their cues and things. So CM Punk, obviously, he's geared up to go out next, and he's waiting in obviously a gorilla position. So Jack Perry looks in the camera after they do this stunt, and he says, "It's real glass, cry me a river." Behind the scenes, so he's breaking kayfabe, the next in wrestling. When he goes backstage, they basically he's cussing at the producers and stuff. They come and get Punk, and Punk tells Khan to take care of it, or I will, and you're not gonna like it. And Khan's like, "Well, what do you want me to do about it?" So Punk basically goes over there. They're talking, discussing back and forth. According to Punk, dude's still yelling at everyone. He's telling them, look, you don't do that on this show. You want to do that, you go to Dynamite. But on this show, we're doing it a different way, and we're doing things the right way. You know, the old school way. And dude basically told him, what are you going to do about it? Do something then. Punk shoves him, basically puts him in a headlock, and it's broken up immediately. So nothing really happens. Tony Khan said he feared for his life, that CM Punk lunged at him, that he broke all these monitors and stuff. They basically made him out to seem like a raging maniac backstage, just going crazy. But the footage doesn't show that. It shows basically everything that he said in his interview that happened.
So, how familiar, Doja, are you with AEW?
Not, bro. I was watching wrestling when it was WCW.
So that's what I figured. So this whole we've been talking about this whole buildup with Cody and WrestleMania and stuff, you know, leading up to this whole thing. But this story of professional wrestling in general right now has so many layers to it, and there's just so much that goes into everything. So Cody, let me start off with saying that this dude had a gimmick in WWE called Stardust that he fully committed to. Do you remember Goldust? That was his older brother.
Yeah. I remember Goldust.
So they had them together as a tag team, and they called him Stardust, and they gave him this gimmick that was similar, not the same as Goldust, but similar. So anyway, he had committed to it, did the best he could, but felt like they were just kind of, you know, there was a glass ceiling. He wasn't going to get any further. So he ended up leaving the company, bet on himself, and he went to Japan. He went to a bunch of indies. He went to other smaller promotions and started making a big name for himself and doing good things, you know, and he started meeting people and connecting, which ultimately led to Japan and the Bullet Club and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. And those dudes, they all kind of came up with this AEW idea together. And Tony Khan is the billionaire. His family owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got him, you know, who's like this super wrestling fan his whole life, and he always wanted to have a wrestling promotion. They got him as like their money mark, you know, the dude to finance the whole thing. But not only does he finance it, he also books it, which is he creates the storylines and tells you know everybody what's going to happen. He's like the CEO, the GM, like he has like a bunch of titles in this company, right? And AEW's been around for like 5 years now. And Cody, there was some kind of situation that happened where Cody ended up leaving. There were some personal issues that he had there, I'm assuming between him and Tony. So Cody ended up leaving, came back to WWE, but now as who he has grown to be now, not as Stardust and this motherfucker that he was before, but now, you know what I'm saying? So he came and he's been killing it. And that's why this whole story for Cody on the other side has been an issue, has been a big deal. But now the AEW exists. CM Punk left wrestling like 10 years ago. left WWE under some crazy shit. So he bounced. He wasn't gonna fuck with wrestling no more. And about 7 years later, AEW comes around now. It's a thing, you know. And Tony Khan's throwing this money at him, saying, "Hey, Punk, you know, come do this shit." And Punk, you know, wrestling doesn't leave these dudes, you know. So of course he had to come back, and he went to AEW, kicked ass there for about 3 years, but was a pain in the butt because he's been known to be a pain in the butt in like backstage situations and whatnot. In all companies, he's been known to have issues with people. So anyway, he caused a lot of problems, and this whole thing with Jack Perry that Grimm is talking about here, it was the kind of the culmination of all of it. So it all went down between him and Jack Perry, and then it all went down between him and Tony Khan. So they fired Punk. So now Punk made his big return to WWE 10 years later, and this was supposed to be his first WrestleMania back, but he got injured. So he ended up being a referee in one of these matches that we'll talk about later. But this footage shows what happened between him and Jack Perry in this Wembley Stadium in London backstage, you know, when all the shit went down. So it's like a big deal that on the week of WrestleMania, when Cody gets all his, you know, story and this and that, and Punk is part of, you know, prominent storylines, that they're gonna throw this other shit out there that's real life shit. And to be honest with you, it's weird because on one hand, I thought they were gonna throw this shit out there to try and bury Punk, to make him look like an asshole or whatever. But like Grim was saying, all it did was prove everything that Punk said was right. And I'm just going off of what Grim said. I haven't seen any of the footage myself. I haven't seen any of it. I've only heard it from him. So, you know, just from what I'm hearing, it sounds like it might have backfired on him. It makes the whole damn company and Tony Khan look like a joke, you know, a continuous joke that just keeps doing silly shit. And like, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. But like Grim said, that's kind of the hot news today. There's been a crazy week of wrestling, but that's where we're at today. So that's a quick little catch up for you that if you're not very familiar with what might be happening in the wrestling world.
Lot going on.
Do you have any questions thus far?
Proceed.
Well, so here's the thing, though, a little history to the AEW thing that was awesome. So when he mentioned the Bullet Club, which was my reference to this was the biggest thing in New Japan. And it became so big, and the group became so big as a stable that there was only a certain aspect of that group that everyone was watching, everyone was interested in. It wasn't the whole group itself. So these guys broke away and called themselves the Elite. And that's when they left New Japan and they came here to America to do, it was, I believe, All In was their first pay-per-view. And Dave Meltzer said that he would like to see anybody fill 10,000 seats that wasn't a WWE wrestling event. And Cody Rhodes answered and said, I will take that challenge. And he gathered together a few wrestlers, including Chris Jericho and later on Jon Moxley, who with the Elite and Cody Rhodes became the EVPs once established with Tony Khan. And that's how they were the executive vice presidents.
Rey Mysterio was in that show too.
Interesting.
But
So
the thing is they're two money makers. Cody Rhodes and CM Punk left AEW. They're now in WWE, who capitalized, and AEW is dropping in ratings.
But like also like we talked about though in previous weeks, they did sign 3 of the top free agents in wrestling. So I'm hopeful just for the sake of wrestling's sake, even though I'm not a watcher necessarily of AEW. I'm hopeful that they're able to, you know, pull the nose up on this thing and get it back together because, you know, that just makes more awesome wrestling and more news for us. So I'm hopeful.
So how many so is that the main wrestling thing now?
What?
How many main wrestling
Okay, so check this out. In the United States, you got AEW, WWE, and then TNA is kind of in Canada still, I think. I don't know if they're still based out of Canada or if they're back in the States.
Contract AEW. That's why they share wrestlers back and forth.
So they're like actually making a big comeback. TNA is right now, and there's a lot of good stuff happening there. And then there's smaller ones like MLW and GCW and different ones like that. And then in Mexico you got CMLL and you got AAA. And then Conan, he works with AAA. He's the booker for AAA. And then in Japan you got New Japan and you got. What else do you got in Japan right now that's doing anything? I know they got the women's one. They got Shimmer, and they got
What happened to Dragon's Gate?
I don't know. I haven't heard nothing from Dragon's Gate in a minute. And there was a Noah. There's all kinds of different other ones they had out of Japan, but New Japan is their main one. That's their WWE over there. So,
But you also have Ring of Honor in America, which is tied to AEW.
and that's kind of like their NXT, like how WWE has NXT. That's kind of how Ring of Honor is for AEW nowadays. But Ring of Honor historically has been like kind of like a developmental one still too. But a lot of guys, like really good guys, like Daniel
Yeah.
Bryan or Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him, CM Punk, Samoa Joe, AJ. I don't know. AJ didn't go to Ring of Honor, did he? I know Daniels did.
Yeah.
But a lot of those guys got their start there. So, it's cool for history's sake, but I don't really hear nothing from Ring of Honor. I know Eddie Kingston was the champ. I don't think he still is anymore, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with Ring of Honor. But that's the basic gist of all the companies that are doing stuff right now. And I'm sure there's more that we may be forgetting, but those are the main ones.
Yeah.
We're not mentioning developmental and all things like that, because each one has developmental territories, and I mean it's a big thing. And
Well,
all of them have gotten away from doing house shows every night like they used to. They're more on an actual schedule now.
Yep. But did
yeah. I was just curious because like back when I like would watch it, like there was like WWF and WCW, and those are like
Yep.
the two main ones.
And those are the ones that I was aware of. And then Grimm was also down with ECW.
Yeah.
And I never really
I remember that.
I never really got to see ECW growing up. I never saw it like on anything or whatever. That was a little bit later when I first got to see it.
That's
Because
because yeah,
on satellite on the Sunshine Network, it was really hard to get in the beginning, and then they moved it to Spike TV, which used to be FX, and then it merged with WWE, and it ended up just fading away.
Yeah.
And
So do you have any questions now?
no.
Well, we're about 18 minutes in, and we still haven't even done
What?
our cheers yet. So let's get our cheers on real quick.
What are you smoking on?
I still got the same carton. I think it's like a pineapple whip something.
I got banana runs cart, and then I'm smoking on some East Coast sour diesel.
I had some cherry something or other. Damn, see, I don't even know the freaking names of any of this stuff anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all the audience and to the dispensaries I'm disrespecting right now, but I can't remember the name.
same as last week.
It's clogged. I got it.
So
Oh, I was supposed to do the trifecta.
Oh, damn. See,
smart.
fuck.
Let me see how high I get right now.
Well, while you work on that, let's start getting ready for Mania here. Did you the whole week kind of started off, well, the weekend with my favorite part of the whole thing, the Hall of Fame. Did you get to watch any of the Hall of Fame, Grim?
No.
Oh man, you're killing me. You're killing me.
I'm
Well,
sorry, dude. You already know what I was telling you. I was watching all the Mattel stuff that came out over the Wrestle weekend, and I forget what they call it. It's Wrestle something. It's just like Comic Con, but for wrestling stuff. And
yeah, like WrestleCade or something like that.
yeah, I can't remember what they call it, but it happens WrestleMania weekend. I think it also lasts 5 days. I think. I think. Don't quote me on that.
You want to talk about what you were finding out with your observations there before I get into the Hall of Fame?
No, we could get into it another time, or I don't know if we will. Maybe.
Well, okay. The Hall of Fame though, just to touch on it quickly, it was super freaking late. It went on after SmackDown, so it was hard to for somebody like me that really appreciates it and like always tries to make a point to watch it. They made it kind of hard this year because it was so damn late, and then they did a lot of weird stuff. Like the format that they choose to use for a lot of this stuff is, they can have it in the ring now. They took the ropes down, and it kind of looks cool sometimes, but it also adds a little bit of awkwardness to it. Also, Stephanie McMahon was there. She made her first appearance back in a long time, and she was wearing the ECW hat, and that was pretty cool. She was there to support Paul Heyman, and they had Heyman on first, who's the headliner, and that's another change. They always have the headliner on last, so it was weird to start with Heyman. They had Roman induct him, which I wasn't necessarily thrilled about. I thought it should have been like Tommy Dreamer. That's who I had kind of mentioned before. But Roman did a good job. He showed a lot of love and respect, and he kept it short and sweet, so that was cool. Um, Heyman mentioned Brock, which was kind of crazy. I didn't expect that to happen. And there was something cool where he called himself, like he pronounced himself a Triple H guy. For those that are wrestling fans, know that to be a Paul Heyman guy is like a badge of honor, like that only a few different wrestlers have gotten to be. So he called himself a Triple H guy because this whole WrestleMania weekend, as we'll get into, was really dubbed the Triple H era, the beginning of the Triple H era, which is pretty freaking cool, for wrestling fans, because we've been stuck in the Vince way of life for a long time. So for this whole change up to be mostly Hunter's brainchild has made it pretty cool. You had something to add to that, Grim?
Yeah, so before we get any further beyond Paul Heyman and what you said, I just wanted to let you know the reason why I'm shaking my head no on the whole Tommy Dreamer thing is I get what you're saying. To me, he's a main staple in ECW, but there's a lot of history there. For those of you who don't know, is Tommy Dreamer invested a lot, and he was partnered with some of the other wrestlers in ECW with Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman went behind their backs making deals with Vince, which ended up in the ending of ECW, which left Tommy Dreamer without anything. I think he might have even been homeless at the time, that he was so angry that he wanted to, unalive basically Paul Heyman. So there was a lot of bad blood there.
But he was there. Um, they had him. They had Bully Ray, or Bubba Ray. They had RVD. They were all there, and they made an appearance. And when Paul came out, they all gave him hugs, and that was pretty cool. Uh, he had a really awesome speech. But the thing about Heyman is that he's such a salesman. He can't really take any credit for himself. Like he had a very, very hard time trying to talk about himself, like his life and stuff. The whole time he was still selling it. Everything else he was selling it. Even Stephanie, he was selling Stephanie. So he's such a he's such a selfless dude. You could tell he's a good guy in real life. So anyway, that was cool. Then he went to Bull Nakano, and she was awesome. I wish the crowd would have cooperated a little more. She actually spoke English throughout her whole speech, which was cool, because she obviously it's not her first language and she struggled some. But for her to do it like that, I thought was pretty awesome. It just made me respect her that much more. So that was cool. And they had Alundra Blaze Medusa induct her. No surprise. I kind of figured that's who that would be. Um, then it was, I believe it was the U.S. Express next. And the U.S. Express We'll get into it further into the show about Bray and Taylor Rotunda some more because I watched that documentary. I'm not sure if you guys got to see it. I told you guys about it though, and that man, um, they had a real awesome moment for Bray during their speech where they turned off all the lights and they had everybody put their phones out to do the fireflies like how Bray did. And it was awesome. It was really cool. It was the touching moment of the night for me, you know. And they had Taylor and they had the daughter there to do the induction, and that was pretty cool. And then after that, they had Muhammad Ali, you know, went into that celebrity wing that they have there, and they actually had his widow there, and she had a belt that she gave to The Rock. She brought The Rock out, and you know how Ali called himself the people's champ back in the day. Well, I guess Rock had asked him for permission to use that moniker sometime in the 90s, I guess, or whatever, right? And he let him have that name. So this belt was the people's championship belt that they gave him. And that came into play later on in the weekend also. But after that, I think The Rock's grandma was the last one, and obviously he did the whole thing. But by this time, bro, I was falling asleep. You know, we were on the couch, and all of us were kind of dying because it was on so late. You know, and like I said, it's hard when it goes on after SmackDown, and it's such a long. The whole weekend was just like at least 20 hours of footage, and that's if you didn't even watch all of it. You know what I mean? All the stuff that was going on. So I don't remember exactly what happened at the end there because I was out of it, but that was pretty much it. The highlights at least, and it was a
Have,
good Hall of Fame, but it wasn't like how some of the ones of old have been. I just don't know if I'm sold on this new format that they do, but we'll see.
have either of you guys watched the Rock show?
Yeah, the Young Rock, that was dope.
Rock,
Yeah. Because you mentioned his grandma. Man, she was so funny in that show. The actor and like how that I was just telling my buddy earlier at work, because he hasn't watched that show, and I watched it like a few times. I watched it with the kids too. But yeah, I thought that was a good, like how they did the stories and everything. That was a pretty good show.
that's dope. I haven't really gotten to watch it a whole lot. I've seen maybe 2 episodes, so I need to watch it
Really?
more. Yeah,
What?
Hey, look,
That's
that that's another one. You know, I don't mind
yep,
watching it again.
duly noted.
it's
It's
really
all.
what
It was only what I think 3 seasons, right?
too.
2.
It never got the cool third season. They only introduced some of the wrestlers at the end of the second season, remember? And you don't really get into it because then it got canceled. But I mean, it was set for a third season and then it got canceled. But it
Hey,
was really
Figures.
hey, it was funny. He's all president.
not
Remember?
my gosh, and they're all like, you're an agent like Johnny Depp in 21 Jump Street, and he's like, I'm 15.
That's awesome. So that was pretty much it for the Hall of Fame. Um, so did you get to watch night one and night two, Grim?
Yeah,
So tell me first of all, how is do you have like a Mania tradition or like what does it look like? Because I was trying to have you over for Mania this year. For those that don't know, we were trying to do a cool ass live little Dro Bro special, you know, and watch Mania together for one of the nights. And like I said, your boy was sick AF, and I just couldn't really host it and not feel guilty because you know I didn't want to get anybody sick. So Grim ended up doing his own thing, but I had a little thing, you know, planned out that I'll get into. But how did it go for you, and what's it normally like?
normally it's just me watching it on my phone. You know what I mean? Like, most of the TVs are always taken up, so I just watch it on my phone. And
Oh man,
so that's what I did. And night one, I watched it by myself. Um, we were up at the hill, which is Central City, Blackhawk. So watch night one up there on my phone. And night two, we were back home. The boy came back from his grandma, so we watched it together, parts of it, before his
Yeah.
bed. I showed him the last match of night one because I wanted him to see that because he's really into the whole bloodline story, obviously. Cody Rhodes and Rock, Roman. How can you not be Seth Rollins?
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Um, did
You,
well,
your traditions, I mean,
so check it out. It's like the same thing like with Bronco games for me. Like you got to get the wings. You know what I mean? So I always have that planned out. But I got like a cool pizza and stuff like that too. But what I was gonna say is this whole 2 night mania thing, it really fucks with me sometimes, bro. Like it's so much. It's hard to really handle, together. To have that whole weekend just be all about wrestling. Don't get me wrong, I love it. And like I'm excited for it every year, but it gets harder and harder every year. Especially as the kids get older, they ain't trying to watch it either. So I end up kind of watching a lot of my stuff alone too. Brandy was there with me; she was watching and stuff, and Mikey watched most of night two with me. But we didn't have the kids on night one, and it was just her and I in the basement checking it out. With our little spread of wings and stuff. But both of us were sick as fuck, so we were coughing and sneezing and all jacked up the whole time. But we watched it, and it was awesome, man. I loved it.
yeah.
Um,
Where'd you get wings from?
So the first night, there's a spot up the block here called Outlaw Wings. I'm
Out.
shouting you out right now because y'all got some seriously, seriously hot wings. I get these Inferno ones that they get, and from here down, bro, was completely freaking numb, jacked up. I
Yeah.
couldn't even feel my face. I had to slam a glass of milk. And for those that don't know me, that's a lot. Like I can handle some heat. That's one of my things. You know what I mean? And this shit was so fucking hot. I had to slam some milk and try to like, oh shit. It
I
was
had
Where,
crazy.
where,
original Nashville Hot in Nashville at the original place that created it at Prince's Chicken.
we,
Hell yeah.
we, we don't have no decent wing place here.
Oh no, that's terrible. You have to start one. You have to
That's
start the
what
food truck. We just
I
had
know.
Anthony on a couple weeks ago. That should inspire you to start the food truck.
Hey, I actually been talking about that for a while now for a food truck because me and Aaliyah want to get it. Me and Aaliyah want to do it. So she's actually gonna go to school and like start learning about all that stuff because she's a badass cook.
Hell yeah, that sounds dope. I
But
love we've actually had plans ourselves here in the next couple years to do something similar, because I have a couple recipes, wings included, that I want to test out on the world and see if y'all dig them as much as I do. But that's the typical spread we had going, but we were sick as fuck. So, I was trying to have Grim over on Saturday initially, but that didn't work out right. Bless you.
Thank you.
And then we ended up switching it to Sunday, and that didn't work out right either. So it just so happened that we didn't get to connect it this year. So next year for sure, Grim, we got to make it happen. And hopefully, Doja, you could come up and it'd be a cool ass Dro Bro, second Mania anniversary or the Dro Bro show or something. But
we'll record the whole 10 hours of reactions.
fuck.
Nah.
I'm glad I don't have to edit that one.
No, no,
Did you see the national anthem, Grim?
I think I did. Trying to remember. I did watch it.
So
I did.
check it out. The reason I'm bringing it up is because when you watch that old WrestleMania documentary where they're talking about like the whole history of WrestleMania and whatnot, one of Vince's things was America the Beautiful. And he would always have somebody sing that because it sounds so much prettier. You know what I mean? Like the words sounded so much more descriptive and like just better. America the Beautiful over the national anthem, and I love that. To be honest with you, that was one of the things that I agreed with Vince, and they've gotten away from that. It seems for a while. They had night one, they had the national anthem, and on night two they had God Bless America, which was cool, but It wasn't America the Beautiful. You know what I'm saying? That's my shit, bro. So I was kind of sad. I was a little disappointed. But homegirl that sang the national anthem, she broke it down. She got down. And the guys that did it night two got down too, the country duo that did it. But I can't remember the girl's name. Coco Jones or something like that is the girl that did the national anthem. She did pretty good though. And bang, right off the bat, started off with Becky and Rhea. Did you get to? What did you think about these entrances here, Grim? You want to
Hey,
tell Doja what it
we
was like?
we didn't go over the our predictions and all that for
Well, we
night
will,
one.
but the
Oh,
matches.
oh,
So
all right.
Yeah, we'll go over each one by one, my brother.
she came out to a band. I can't remember the name of them right now. I knew it. I was watching something about it. But anyways, that was dope. It was a dope entrance. It was really sick that she came out to a live band. Um, as much as I like Becky Lynch, I and again, I didn't want her to win this match. I don't think it needed to happen. I want to see Rhea continue, and I think she's a dominant champion, and that's what ended up happening. I mean, that was a great match to start off WrestleMania night one with. It was a really good match, and neither disappointed, to be honest. And it's not that I'm bad mouthing Becky. Like I said, I just don't feel that she needed it at the moment.
So I am gonna have to just take your word for everything that you just said right now, because as I go through my notes and I remember back now to what was happening, I told you I was sick, so my head was all fucked up and whatever. Now that I see what actually happened, I can tell you with no shadow of a doubt that I didn't even get to see one fucking minute of this damn match, because that wing place I told you about, Outlaw, were taking forever. It seemed like everybody in the world was trying to get wings at the same fucking time. Hey, get down. And bro, I'm telling you, what turned into what I went to there's two locations. I'm in the middle of them. I went to one, they said it was gonna be a 40-minute, 50-minute wait. I said, fuck that. So I called the other one so I could have the order placed and then I could go there and then hopefully it'll be halfway done, because they told me it was only gonna be a 30-minute wait. So I'm like, cool. By the time they take my fucking order, I'm already damn near in the parking lot. And I fucking ended up just telling them there. And it took like another 45 minutes to an hour before I even got to get my shit and go home, bro. So by the time I came home, all I saw was like the last 2 minutes of the match, and I saw the finish. And I didn't even really get to see it because I was upstairs trying to get all the food together for everybody. So I didn't see any of the actual match, but I did see the entrances. So just to start off with my take on that, at least. Rhea and that band. I had it written down, I thought, the name of the band, but the band was pretty freaking cool, man. And the dude looked just like Rhea. I
That's
thought it was her. That was crazy, bro. It tripped me out. And then when they were like face to face doing
yeah.
that little thing, I was like, what? It was weird, bro. It was so fucking weird.
And their song together, that was dope.
It was dope. And then for Becky, her book was like her big thing of the past month, it seems. So her book was actually, pages from her book were on the knee pads, were on like this part right here. I think her jacket may have had her book all over it, but she was like,
dope.
it was pretty dope. It was cool, but it reminded me of like some Alice in Wonderland shit. And even before that, when she came out, she was quoting lines from the book, and it had it like up on they were doing little animations or whatever. It was pretty dope, bro. I liked it. But I was pissed. I was pissed when I got home because I didn't get to watch half of the or any of the freaking match, and I that's all I could say about it. So I'm sorry, but Outlaw Wings, y'all need to get your shit together. I love them, but fuck,
I seen that place, but I didn't, I was wondering if it was good or not. I didn't try them yet.
damn good, but fuck. So you want to get into the next match?
Yeah.
Or actually, hold on. Let me say. I will say this. I'm glad Rhea won. I think she needed to hold it down still. her story, her rise is still coming. You know, like she's still on the upward swing. She's Well, obviously we saw what happened the next night, the next night. But I felt like she's still like the leader of the Judgment Day. If you ask me, she's neck and neck. You know what I mean? So she needed to keep that momentum going, and I'm glad she did, and she did it in dominant fashion. So, big ups for that. That's what I was hoping for. And a small note on it: Becky Lynch was sick as fuck. She had strep throat. It had like 104-degree temperature and shit when she did this match. And the weather was fucking ridiculous out there, Doja. They were out there in the damn Philadelphia Eagles stadium, and it was like 50, 40 some degrees both nights. It was cold as shit. So she was out there sick as fuck, and she did a damn good job from what I hear. So thank you, Becky.
Hey, did
But
they do the Hall of Fame and all that there too?
they did that at the small arena that they did SmackDown in the night before.
Um, uh, dang. So they did like four shows there, pretty three.
No, at the stadium they did 2 shows, and then in the arenas they did like an NXT show. They did a SmackDown. They did the Hall of Fame after the SmackDown. Then they did Raw, the next
Yeah. All in
day.
All in Philly.
Yep, all in Philly.
Eh,
All right, they take
that would
over.
have been. Hey, that would have been fun to be there, huh?
Bro, that whole week, man, is nothing but wrestling shit. They have that WrestleCon that Skims was talking about, and they got all the other stuff too they got going on. Other shows do
What?
or other promotions do shows.
Wait a minute. They have a wrestling con that they go around and do.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, that's tight.
Be
We
the
gotta
type.
hit it up. We
Yeah,
gotta hit it up and
you
be
gotta
on
let me
location
know.
one of these days.
Well, let
So
me know. When you guys find out it goes to Denver, let me know.
No doubt.
Yeah.
What are we gonna
but
say, Grim?
I guess like I said, this would be a good time to jump into that real quick. But what they unveiled there is all the upcoming line for their Mattel figures and stuff like that. They brought back the defining moments with Series 2, because last year was the first time they brought back Series 1. So Series 2, they had unveiled only 3 of them. And the reason for that is because they had this special uh, day planned with CM Punk when they unveiled all these figures for CM Punk on day 3. And so, anyways, he ended up being the 4th one in the line. That one sold out in only a couple hours, so it's already on back order.
Damn.
Yeah, I already got my copy right away when he was doing his panel. I ordered it, and when it went up for pre-order, I also got the Mattel Creations one that is
Uh,
made. Last year it was the Cody Rhodes, which I also have. If you don't get them while they're now, you can get them at retail price. If not, you're paying aftermarket prices, at least $100+ Like the Logan
damn.
Paul going for $350 right now.
Holy shit.
You could have got it for $39 a year ago.
That's how much it is. That's how much you got it for right now.
I didn't get the Logan Paul, so I missed out on that, and I ain't paying those aftermarket prices.
Ah, he has one now.
Yeah, him and Cody Rhodes, they got the made to order last year. This year they only did one for the CM Punk's return at Survivor Series. Um, but yeah, I went ahead and got the Cody Rhodes one, which I was telling Remo about.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. He sent me some pictures.
How does that
So I have my custom belt I made for him on it right now since he won at Mania. Spoiler alert. He came with gold tights for his return. He came with the cloth jacket, which I thought was pretty dope.
Oh yeah.
And actually, this belt, I made it.
You made it.
Yeah, because Mattel didn't make the one with the belt buckle yet, and only AEW did. So I had to take this off my AEW Supreme Cody Rhodes, and I acetoned off the well, it wasn't the Supreme one. It was actually the Ringside Collectibles exclusive with the TNT title, and it said Rhodes versus Archer on the back because that was the match.
Yeah.
acetoned it off, and I bought these decals for the Nightmare one because I wanted the buckle on the front instead of just showing like the plug holes with the pegs.
Well, that's freaking tight, man. See, like we told y'all before, this dude, he's like the master customizer of the whole thing here. You know, he's gonna show you plenty of things throughout the entirety of this show. So be prepared to see some genius at work. When with that, you want to get into the next match? We're already coming up on 45 minutes of our show, man. This show's just flying by today.
So
And
if you say the matches, because I just kind of remember the matches, I don't really remember the order of them because
I got it written down in order right here, just ready to go. So the next match was actually the 6-pack tag team ladder match.
yeah. So Remo was right when he suggested in the last episode that they were splitting the title. But that ended up happening. And to be honest, the first team that won, I was super, super shocked. Did not see that coming. The second team, I kind of had a feeling they were going to go that route because of things like what Remo was saying in the last episode. But definitely A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller shocked me that they won the SmackDown titles. And I'll let you talk about who won the Raw titles.
Well, hold on though. Let me back up just for a second. We were supposed to go over our predictions as we were going through this. When it came down to the Rhea and Becky match, we picked Rhea, Grim and I, but Doja picked Becky. So I'm sorry, you're 0 for 1 so far, Doja.
Damn.
And then for the next one, uh, Grim, you're actually the only one that went with my theory of them splitting up the titles here, and you had 2 of them. You picked DIY and the New Day, and then Doja and I both picked the eventual winners of what is it, the Raw Tag Team titles, the Awesome Truth. And I knew they were coming. I knew it was happening. I knew something was going to happen for our Truth because they just tease it too much for nothing to not happen with him. So I'm glad he came through, and it was still messing with the whole Judgment Day aspect of it all because he's trying to be like a member there. Still even the Raw on Monday, I guess, was still something like that. So that was cool. So we got that one right, Doja. You're 1 for 1 now. But
Cool.
I think R-Truth stole the show. I mean, he even went to go and have a little, I mean, of the match at least. He went to go and have an actual tag in a ladder match, and that was hilarious. I thought that was a good spot. A-Town Down Under, I don't know, man. I'm still not sold. They need to show me a lot more. I was kind of this was kind of a whack showing, if you ask me. Don't get me wrong, they had good spots, but I mean that's any ladder match. They're gonna have some pretty good spots, you know. So I just wasn't really sold on the entirety of it all, but I did like the whole R-Truth story part of it. That whole thing was good to me.
And isn't this the match that Bubba Ray was the referee?
No. That was the next match. Or not the next match. That was the next let me see here. Which one was that one?
Because I was actually shocked to see Bubba Ray as a referee. I was like, what the hell? Really? Bubba Ray? Dope.
Where do I have it on there?
Because
No, I
there's a
think
point
next
he
one.
his
Wait,
glass.
what's the
and he
one with Ray? Wasn't it the one with Ray? Or was that the next match? Or the next night? Now it's jacking me up. I don't remember. Damn, see? For those of you that are watching and that have seen the whole shit, go ahead and leave your hate comments on the bottom.
What was the next match?
Well, the next one was Ray and Andrade against
Dope.
against the LWO. I think this is the one that had Bubba Ray, isn't it?
I don't remember. I just remember him being in a match, but they definitely punked Dragon Lee.
Oh, you know what? I think Bubba Ray was in the one with the Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits.
Yeah, that's what it was. Because I thought he was in a tag match one. I thought that's what it was.
Yeah. So that was the next night. But right now we're at Ray and Andrade against Dom and Santos.
So Ray was getting punked, and they were beating him up in the ring, and Andrade was out there, and that's how all of this started. Is that Andrade didn't stand back and let them beat up Ray and Selena Vega, so he jumped in and he saved him, and that's how he ended up with Ray in this night, because it was supposed to be Dragon Lee.
Yeah, I guess Dragon Lee got hurt. They had Andrade replace him. And if you ask me, I think Andrade stole the show. I think he killed it, man. Everything he did was on point. He did some shit that I've never even seen before a couple times, man. He had like Ray on his shoulders and they were on the apron and they did a double crossbody off the apron onto like all the dudes on the outside, man. And I'd never seen no shit like that. That
So,
was awesome.
did you know that he's married to Charlotte Flair?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought everybody knew that one.
But yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Andrade and Rey Mysterio won. It was a good culmination to Rey finally getting his vengeance on Santos and his son Dominic.
I thought it left a lot of things in question too, like what's going to happen now with Dominic's bless you with Dominic's involvement with the Legado del Fantasma and with the Judgment Day, like where his allegiance lies and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that's still out there. Good story to tell still. But Doja, did you know Charlotte Flair, Ric Flair's daughter, is married to this guy Andrade?
Oh, what?
Yeah, I jumped the gun. I was telling Grim just now. Everybody knows that, but obviously not everybody knows
Hey,
that.
so it, it's kind of funny because you guys been mentioning a lot of the people's kids, so it's like the next gen. So it's
It-
like the next gen of how do you say wrestlers' kids? Something.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, The Rock was the first third generation. So just think, like now The Rock's daughter's in it, so she's fourth generation.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Yep, it is crazy.
That's kind of cool though.
She's the GM of NXT right now. She was a wrestler, but right now she's the GM of NXT, their startup show.
It's like the GM is like their on-screen authority figure, you know. Um, I think I have in my notes here that the whole all the performers in this whole segment here, they're all the Mexicans, which on one hand is awesome because they work well together, but on the other hand, it makes me kind of sad that they don't have anything better to do than to just stick them all with each other. So, you know, I hope I saw a lot out of Santos. Like I said, fucking Andrade killed it, stole the whole show. So, like, these dudes are all very capable performers. Obviously, Andrade is not great on the mic. Santos is pretty good on the mic, but I do expect to see a lot more from them in this coming year. So, hopefully, for Mania next year, those two especially are in much better spots. Um, I was
I
sad. I was anxious to see Dragon Lee. We all picked Dragon Lee in our picks. I was excited to see him.
Wait. Let me guess. Dragon Lee is Brandon Lee's son.
No, sadly, but
I want
but
to. I think they are doing other things with these wrestlers. It's just right now the race story just hasn't been finished. You know, ever since all these guys that are against him, they were with him. So Dominic broke apart, joined the Judgment Day. Santos, he felt betrayed when Ray said that Dragon Lee was the future of luchador wrestling, and so he betrayed Ray and formed his own group. And so all of that's been going on.
yeah, there's so many layers to it. A lot of long-term storytelling in wrestling, especially WWE. Actually, only in WWE because AEW is not known for that at all. But it's been really good stuff. So I thought Dominic also did a really good job. He just gets better and better every time he's out there, man. And he's such a good heel. He makes you hate him. Doja, if you ever get a chance to, man, take a peek at what Dominic Mysterio is doing, Rey Mysterio's son.
I
I
like
think
him. He's a prick, but you know, if you don't like him, then he's doing his job, right? That's what it's all about. And I like that. He does it.
exactly. I agree 1,000%. So moving on. Our next match was the Battle of the Usos, Jimmy and Jay.
Oh yeah, Jay, man.
So go ahead, and say what you got to say about it, Grim. Go ahead.
Really well done. I liked the match. I mean, I feel like it was undersold, definitely. They didn't build it up as much as they could have because I mean, obviously it's hard to build it up as much as they could have when you had the Bloodline Road story going on. And now that you brought The Rock in, it kind of overshadowed the Usos, I feel. A great match. It would have been better if they would have had their dad referee, Rikishi. But be honest, really happy that Jay won. I think he needed that win. I know you had brought up that you thought Jimmy needed it, but I felt that's how it was going to happen in this night one so that people would get hopeful that in the main event, Cody and Seth might win.
Yeah, I feel you. Um, I do not share the same sentiments that you do with this match. I feel like this was the worst match of all of WrestleMania. I felt like it was terrible. I'm so disappointed in it. I must have had ridiculously high expectations or something, or I don't know. But to start off with, uh, Jay comes out with Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne wrapped him to the ring, and
That
Lil
happened.
Wayne Lil Wayne was billed. They were calling him the greatest rapper of all time or some kind of shit. And he came out and he sounded terrible. Like it was the worst shit ever. So I was like, oh my God. First of all, that was just sad. And then like I said, man, this match was just so lackluster for me. It was just super kick after super kick and no selling. And it was terrible. I expected so much more from it. I thought they were gonna kill it. I honestly thought that these two dudes had the most natural chemistry out of anybody else on the whole fucking card. So of course they would have the best, overall match. But they didn't do anything. They Bro, I didn't have a count on the damn super kicks, but I guarantee you there's somebody out there now. Maybe somebody could say in the comments how many damn kicks did they throw at each other that in that match? Because it was ridiculous, bro. It just made the whole thing seem silly to me. It took me out of it.
That actually comes from a thing that them and the Young Bucks have going back and forth, right? Like who
Yeah,
could do
super kick
super?
party. Yeah,
Yeah, the super kick party exactly. And
terrible.
so, I mean, I get it. Like I said, the match was totally undersold. I feel like what Remo's saying is that
Yeah,
there was a lot of potential for it. There
yeah.
wasn't a lot of build up. There wasn't a lot of anything for it. It was just like over the last couple weeks. Now Jimmy came in since the last pay per view, screwing over his brother. It
They did
wasn't.
like a little video package where they were like back to back and they were saying some stuff and they were saying, like their real names and whatnot. And even that to me, man, just felt like they did it all last minute and it was
Yeah,
lackluster. Like I see what they were trying to do, but it just came off corny as shit. And I was just kind of like, I was,
waiting since SummerSlam to see the culmination of this brother. Uh, and that was the thing. It was two brothers, right? This is the
yeah,
second time two brothers ever fought at WrestleMania.
it was the third time.
Third time. Yep.
First it was the Hearts, then it was the Hardys.
Oh, yep. Because I was gonna say the Hearts were the first one.
Yep.
Um, Forgot about the Hardys. So, anyways, definitely undersold. Way undersold. That the
Yep.
way they voted it.
Yeah, I expected so much more from it. So hopefully going forward, I guess now on the Monday after WrestleMania, is always the big thing. So we could jump ahead just a little bit. Jay's going to be next in line for a title shot. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, after this one, we got. Oh, also let me say I had in my notes here that Jay is like 10 times the performer that Jimmy was, man. I was so disappointed in Jimmy in particular. Like this dude, man, he had no no decent offense or anything. Nothing believable. He just seemed lazy, if you ask me. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm being too judgmental or if I'm hating too much or whatever. But again, the Usos are known to be like one of the best tag teams of all time. And this singles run that they've been on was highly anticipated. You know, it's been like 10 years they've been in the business or in the company. So I expected a lot more. So, Jay, I was real proud of him. He did a good job as far as like the selling goes and as far as like leading the whole thing goes and whatever. He looked a lot better. He looked a lot more believable. But all that kick shit was whack. Anyway, moving on. After them, it was the battle of it was the six woman tag team match with I'm sorry, with Bianca, Jade, and Naomi against Damage Control, which was Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
Go ahead
Were,
and get into that one, Grim.
were they mud wrestling?
No, but it was really cold.
Ooh, hey.
Great
I
match.
got it, buddy. I got you.
I just think it was one sided. You know what I mean? Jade definitely tore it up. Bianca, she's a powerhouse. Naomi too. I get damage controls coming up, but really, I don't feel that they could have stood a chance against them. You know what I mean? You got like it's the powerhouse women's division versus like luchador sized women. And not to say that they couldn't win. I'm just saying definitely the odds were stacked against them. They're the heels. These other girls are the baby faces. So I mean,
Yeah,
I just was gonna go that way, and it's Jade Cargill's. I think not her debut match, but it's her.
it's her main debut match. It's her
Yeah,
Mania debut for sure. Yeah.
exactly. I think she wrestled on a SmackDown or something, or at least
I don't know if she
here.
was ever in an actual match. I think this is only her second time in an official match because the Rumble was the first one. I think
Yeah,
she just did like an in ring, so. But you know me, I like to zoom in on the entrances and stuff. And I thought that Jade, Naomi, and Bianca, I thought they had a whack entrance, bro. Like they were just on this platform, and then it just came down to the ramp, and then they just walked down to the ramp. I was like, what is this? And it was all in dark, and then all their shit like glowed together, and like I don't know. I expected so much more from it too. I don't know if maybe they had something else planned and that's something they had to pivot to at the last minute or something, because it kind of seemed that way to me. But um I expected more. And then with Jade, I was like, what the fuck? Did they cut her hair? Didn't she have long hair?
yeah, and see, Asuka is one of my favorite female wrestlers, so I freaking
Yeah.
definitely need to say that the odds were stacked against them. I'm not trying to take away from Damage Control. They're definitely one of my favorite lady stables in wrestling right now.
Yeah, they're dope. Yeah, they're super dope. I thought that Jade, like they all kept saying she looked like a superhero. Like she really does. This girl is like ridiculously cut. She's like so stacked, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Bianca is the same way. With the two of them together, man, like that's a dream match. They kind of teased at the Rumble, so I'm anxious to see because Jade's a natural heel, bro. Like the way she walks around, the way she wrestles, the way she does everything is a heel. Like even though they're cheering her right now because they're excited that she's there, she's gonna turn soon enough, bro. And like,
When they brought her onto the company, you know that Triple H compared her to potentially being as big of a superstar as The Rock.
yeah, yeah.
Like
So, but
President.
I think she has to have that cocky heel persona though to get her over to the next level. Because it reminds me a lot of when Ronda came. Like, she's just putting on like the smiley face or whatever to try and like please everybody. But even so, that's not really her. She's not a natural smiley, bubbly person. I don't think she's a natural heel. She's an athlete. She's a competitor. You know what I mean? So I'm anxious to see what happens with her going forward. I do feel like a turn is going to be there eventually. It's inevitable. But she definitely looks like a star. Bianca and Naomi, they look like they could be a tag team, man. The two of them work so well together. I thought Jade did what she had to do well, but I thought those two really seemed like an actual team to me, and that was pretty cool. I think in this tag division, I think they could be a force to be reckoned with if they ever do pair those two up. Um, Damage Control. I'm always a big fan of them. Like Kyrie Sane and her crazy ass elbow that she does, the insane elbow or whatever, off the top is just money every time. Those girls are, they work their ass off and they always kick butt too. They're stiff and in all the right places when they need to be, So it's good. It was a good match. I was proud of all of them. You know, Doja,
Yeah.
you got any questions on it on women's wrestling so far?
Did you say that they were stiff in all the right places?
I did, and I was expecting you to mention that. So, for those of
Oh.
you that may not know, let me explain what that means a little bit. Being stiff as a wrestler means that they work snug, that they're kind of tough, that they
Oh,
don't hold back. You know what I'm saying? That they lay it in.
man.
So there you go.
Well, when I'm stiff, I lay it in too. You know what I'm saying?
Duly noted. So
Oh,
moving on. Our next match for me. Here, I'll let you get into it, Grim. But it was Sammy and Gunther for the
Uh,
Intercontinental.
I loved it. See, and I know you're
hey,
gonna on it.
did we guess the last match right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back to it. So, me and when it came to, damn, we need to go back three of them. We all picked Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio, and we were all wrong because it was Rey Mysterio and Andrade. Then for the Uso match, Grim picked Jay, and me and you picked Jimmy, so we were wrong. And then on this female match, we all picked Jade, Bianca, and Naomi, and of course they won. So right now, we're at Sammy and Gunther, and Grim and Doja picked Sammy, and I picked Gunther.
So Sammy won. I'm glad he won. I knew this was gonna happen. I mean, Sammy's been down, and I get what Remo's saying that he might not have needed it, but it's because they're putting Gunter into a powerhouse position. He's going to be like their next Brock Lesnar, basically. And in order for them to do that, he has to step away from the Intercontinental division. So, yes, it's an accomplishment. And here's fun fact for those of you who don't know: his title reign was 666 days when Sami Zayn beat him. So think about that. And it's the longest reigning Intercontinental champion.
I don't like that number.
So
Oh,
Sami Zayn won. I thought that was kind of ironic that he looks like Jesus, right? And he beat Gunter on 666 days of a title reign. Okay, I just thought that was kind of ironic they did that there. But Sami Zayn, I think he needed it after getting beat down and stuff. And I like the whole gimmick with Chad Gable. Chad Gable reminds me kind of a lot like Kurt Angle's little brother, basically, even though Kurt Angle did bring him out. But he kind of reminds me of that. And so I like that whole gimmick with the Rocky training and all of that, and Sami Zayn being able to finally conquer.
Yeah, I like how when Sammy came out, they showed the long shot from him in the back, talking to his family, and then they stayed on him the whole time while he walked through Gorilla, and he went to Kevin Owens. He walked up to him, who
Yeah.
was the last thing he saw before coming out to the curtain. Kevin Owens slapped the shit out of him and hyped him up real quick and said, "You got this," kind of thing, and that was kind of cool. I thought that was pretty neat because they have a lot of history there. They're actually real life best friends, so that was cool. Um, I still, I'm having a hard time with it still. I think Gunther didn't need to lose it at all. I think he could have just relinquished the belt once he went in to win the world heavyweight one from Damian Priest or some shit like that. That's what I was hoping for, but it happened the way it happened, and I'm trying to deal with it because it is what it is. But I didn't want Gunther to lose. Like, if you're trying to build him up to the next level, you have to have him still be dominant. So if he loses to Sammy, it just does, it takes away from that. How is he going to be the next Brock? And that whole comparison of him and Brock was kind of whack too, if you ask me, because they're nothing like each other. They're not even the same build, body type, style, anything.
So
So
that's fan favorite match to happen, and the reason why
yeah,
it didn't happen is because of the allegation and
Brock shit.
with the Vince McMahon stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. But even so, the comparison is whack to me. But we're coming up on an hour and 10 here, so let's kind of get through these next couple matches quickly. Um, the last thing I want to say about Gunther is that dude is just too fucking good, man. He's a beast. I expect a lot of big things out of him here in the near future. So I hope to see some cool stuff from him.
He's dope, and if you guys don't like him, you're not true wrestling fans because you don't know wrestling if you don't like Gunter. I know he don't have the look, but the guy, he's freaking dominant in wrestling.
Yeah, he's badass. So before we get to the main event, I have in my notes here. I have it highlighted. Samantha Irving. I just want to give her some freaking shout outs real quick because this girl is the ring announcer, the new announcer that they've had for a while, who's Ricochet's fiance, and she is freaking badass. She does everything. It reminds me of the Fink. Like, remember how the Fink, when he used to announce shit, he would put his whole soul into it. You know what I mean? You could feel it.
Yeah.
Like that's how she is, man. And she made every single announcement. She made it special. So big shout out to her, man. My girl kept making fun of me.
Always does.
My girl makes fun of me and says I have a thing for her, or whatever. But I appreciate what she does. She does a damn. She looks good doing it too, but she does a damn good job. So anyway, moving on to the main event. Um, Cody and Seth versus The Rock and Roman. Uh, this didn't disappoint. I thought it was pretty good. I was happy with this main event for sure. I thought it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It set the tone for the next night. It did have some cool surprises. Um, Go ahead and get into it, Grim. Let Doja know what it was about.
The Rock, he sent it, dude. He really sent it in this match. I mean, coming back from a hiatus like he did and being as jacked as he is, it's the first in-ring appearance of The Rock other than his beatdown with Cody Rhodes. So,
In 8 years.
yeah, he sent it, dude. And he looked good doing it, honestly, because I was kind of wondering how he would be after, having been hurt with the John Cena and all of that stuff coming back now. I know he's been an actor, but coming back, dude, he did not disappoint. And Cody, he's always dope. I love Seth Rollins. Roman, I mean, they built him up as this like powerhouse character. That's all cool and stuff. I think his storyline's better than his actual in-ring abilities. The people that really carried the match, I feel, were the Codys, the Sets, and the Rocks.
I feel like it's kind of designed that way for Roman right now. I feel like he's grown on me a lot more over the last few years as far as a in ring worker goes. Um, I wasn't sold on him for a long time when they were trying to shove him down our throats. I was not a big proponent of Roman, but this whole storyline absolutely added to his lore. But I think that as an in ring performer too, he's grown leaps and bounds. So I'm proud of what he's done. But like you said, man, The Rock fucking his team bring it for a reason. That dude brought that shit.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of him. He did a good job. And there was only one spot where he kind of like lost his footing for a half second, but he jumped right back up and he was like, fuck that shit. And it was badass. So he did a great job. I was really proud of him. He came out in like this like Elvis looking shit though, bro. And I thought that was crazy. I wasn't sure if he was gonna wrestle in that shit or not. I was like, oh hell no, is this the new thing?
Too. So I thought it was dope that when he took it off, he's wearing the traditional Rock trunks with the red highlights. That was sick for the bloodline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was good stuff. But
Roman went back to his black boots instead of his red boots. I thought that was weird.
but can we just for a second, and only for a second, talk about what the fuck was Rollins wearing, bro?
Dude, that's what he always wears. I think that's dope. And I'm going to like that because what's that remind you of? Shawn Michaels, right? And I always like the flamboyant.
Shawn Michaels was badass at least. This dude is, oh my gosh. I
But
can't.
remember, Roman said,
Oh,
"You think you're the guy, and you walk around in your wife's clothes."
that exactly, bro. Exactly. I can't with this dude. Anyway, like and he never disappoints either. Every time he comes out, you know it's gonna be some shit, and sure enough, it's some shit. And I'm like, this fucking guy. So anyway, um, I got in my notes here that the Rollins and Reigns story also seems to have come full circle again too, and that was pretty cool. I, I really, I really think that it needs to be mentioned about how the Shield has still like 10 years deep already kind of ran the top of the wrestling echelon, you know what I mean? And that's been pretty cool. That these three dudes that they all kind of just put together have kind of carried their respective companies for a while now. And
And guess who was the mastermind behind the Shield? The only one he didn't want, which is why they have beef to this day, is he didn't want Roman Reigns in the group. It was supposed to be someone else. But the guy who's the mastermind behind the Shield is CM Punk.
yep. And I was gonna mention that, like how funny how things kind of come full circle like that, you know? So anyway, and Rollins and Reigns to me also felt like they have been kind of like how we talked about before, how there's been these duos in wrestling eras, you know, like Hogan and Savage, Austin and Rock, Brett and Shawn, Cena, Batista. You know, like there's always been these duos. I kind of feel like Rollins and Reigns have kind of been that duo for this past decade with the WWE, and I was just proud of them. I was proud of the two of them for whatever reason. You know, it just made me feel nostalgic watching some of their shit, and I haven't always been the biggest fan of either of them. So it was kind of a cool moment for me to have that pride and whatnot. So I was cool with that. It was a good match. I have Seth did look kind of weak in it in some spots, which kind of led to the what was going to happen the next day. You know, that was some of that storytelling. Like we all figured he was going to be losing it anyway. It furthered that for me. Um, Same thing with Cody. You could tell he was going to have his work cut out for him the next day. Like they ended it well, that with the nice little cliffhanger thing, you know. So I appreciated that. But moving on quickly now, I just want to say before we get into night two, um, I watched before earlier in the day the Bray documentary, and I recommend it to everybody. That Bray Wyatt documentary was awesome. There was a few things that were kind of redundant in it, and I'll let you guys watch and be the judge of that yourselves. But they did say a few things in it, not necessarily verbalized, but they would have stuff on the screen a few too many times. I felt like, but you'll see that. It was amazing. It made me cry, man, like 4 freaking times. Like that shit was just awesome. That dude was so amazing. Um, I miss him, and I wish I could have seen what was going to happen with him. I think we all do. All of us wrestling fans wonder what could have been with Bray. But we are very appreciative for what was and what he was able to accomplish. So I can't wait till you watch that, Grim, and let me know what you think about it. Um, Anything on that before I get into night two?
No, I was just pointing up for Bray, you know.
Yes, sir. Okay, so night two, I have how it starts with that God Bless America. That's one of the first things in my notes here, which was different. First time they did that, so it was kind of cool. But Stephanie McMahon actually opened the show in night two, and that was a nice surprise for everybody. That was pretty cool. So she came out and she announced that it was the Paul Levesque era in WWE. So that was kind of cool of her to give that acknowledgement also. Like I said, that seemed to be one of the main themes of the weekend. So the first match, we knew it was going to be this one for the heavyweight title. Drew comes out and it's Piper's music that's playing at first. You know, that old Scottish whatever song that is. So I was kind of tripped out. I was getting shit ready, you know, for the night one. We were getting our food and whatnot. I mean, for night two. And I heard Piper's song in the background, and I'm like, "What the fuck is going on? What is this shit?" So I came, and it was just weird to me that it was that song before he actually came out. But he had a cool ass entrance with
And
all the swords. It was badass.
he had
I
that
really
live.
liked it.
That was dope. That was really sick.
Hell yeah, it was. It was super dope. I liked it a lot. Um, Seth, again, what the fuck? He looked like something straight out of Wonkaville or something with this one. This guy
He
is
looked
always wearing some weird ass shit.
he
Uh,
looked like a Mad Hatter.
and then not only did he look crazy, but he had this whole ensemble with him that reminded me of fucking like Adam Rose and the Rosebuds. And it was fucking silly as shit. It was all these white people dressed up as every other fucking nation in the world. And it was just so fucking weird, bro. Like it just furthered my disdain for all of Rollins' entrances anymore. It's all the same silly ass shit. So
Dope, dude. Because if he didn't do that shit, you wouldn't end up with cool ass shit like this.
oh no. Oh no. Anyways, we only got about 8 minutes left, so let's quickly get through this. Seth loses to Drew. Drew fucking celebrates with his family, gets carried away, starts talking shit to CM Punk, who is doing commentary ringside. Did a great job commentary, by the way. Um, and he gets distracted with Punk. Punk finally gets fed up with hearing his shit. Punk trips him and he falls and fucks him up a little bit. And Damian Priest
Yeah.
comes down and cashes in the money and fucking bank title or contract. And he took the damn title away from Drew. I was pissed. I was on the ground. I was mad. I was fucking like, I can't believe it. Damn it, Damian Priest. Uh,
And I have to put those decals on.
Yep, that looks dope. So how did you feel about this one, Grim?
It was everything I thought it was going to be. I mean, I predicted it. I said that Drew was going to win and Damian was going to cash in. And I knew it had to be coming because he's been milking that money in the bank forever. And it needed to happen because of this whole thing that I think they're building for Judgment Day. And it was beautiful because now Drew and CM Punk have a storyline. So, like Remo keeps mentioning throughout this whole thing, that everything's layered.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see the layers in it. I mean, they got me. I'm happy with what's happening. I don't like Priest at all. I hope he's just transitional as fuck. I can't wait till something happens and he loses that shit. But I hope LA Knight takes him out. I don't know. I don't care who it is. Somebody just needs to get that shit off of him already. But it was a good job. The match was good. Rollins did a lot better than I thought he was going to be able to. Drew's a beast. Drew's fucking amazing. That dude's huge, man. He's a beast. So, I can't wait to see what happens with him. Seth had a lot of respect for Drew. You could tell. Punk was dope. I said, Priest, what the fuck? No, in my notes. And then it was like, does that mean with Rhea and then now Priest? Like the Judgment Day stronger than ever now, right now. So I'm anxious to see what happens there with that little storyline. So we'll see what happens. Then the next match, it went to the final judgment or the final testament against I guess they're calling them the Pride, which is
I,
Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits.
to me,
I,
I thought it was a lackluster match. I'm sorry. This whole storyline to me isn't what I thought it could be. I thought it was going to be better than what it is. I was real hopeful for the final testament and their storyline building up. I just feel they're too much a rip on Judgment Day. Who does it better?
yeah, and honestly, like I had higher hopes for him too. I still do with Cross. Um, I don't know what's gonna happen. I think Cross needs to be in more of like the Wyatt spot.
Yeah.
They should have him in something similar to that. So hopefully something cool happens with that. Quickly now before we run out of time, Bobby and the Profits look badass. They always do. Those other dudes, the Authors of Pain, I'm not really sold on still, so we'll see what happens. The next match was LA Knight and AJ. LA Knight comes out in a Slim Jim car and gave the car away, a Slim Jim car away to some lady in the front row. That was kind of cool. Um, I said that this match was probably going to steal the show, and it didn't disappoint at all. I thought it was damn good. I thought AJ and LA Knight did a damn good job. LA Knight for his first Mania, thought he did a good showing. You know what I'm saying? But AJ, that dude, he's just the best. AJ's awesome. That's the only word. Phenomenal and awesome are the only words that could describe that dude.
He's jacked now too. He's
Yeah.
so, but that was a good match. I loved it. For us moving quickly, I wanted LA Knight to win. Definitely thought he deserved it just because the storyline they're building with AJ. I think he's going that lone wolf storyline that they did with him in TNA, and I think
Yeah.
it's really well here. And it's turning him into a good heel, and they're keeping LA Knight's momentum going. I like that.
Yeah, good stuff. Then the next match was the Logan Paul with the against Randy and KO for the U.S. title. I
It's a
think
good, but Logan Paul, I mean, he keeps cheating out of all these matches, and everyone's waiting to see it have a final outcome. I think people are tired of seeing the whole him.
I don't think they're quite tired on him yet, but I know I am. You know, I'm ready to see something different out of him. So I had lame next to his name because
It's
I
not
expect.
people are tired of it. They're tired of the whole cheap way of
Yep.
retaining the title.
Yep, exactly. I thought it was cool how Randy and KO kind of teamed up a little bit. It was cool in the entrances. KO came out on a golf cart, went back and picked up Randy, and he took him with him for his entrance too. So I thought that was kind of cool. Um, Randy's amazing too, man. This dude's fucking yoked and he's a beast. Him and freaking Drew are like the two men among little boys in this freaking whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like those dudes are huge, man. Um, and they did great. Randy's just the best ever. You know what I mean? Randy's awesome. And KO, you know, he needs something better. It was cool before his entrance. Sammy was there. They did the same kind of thing with the long walkout. And
Yeah.
Sammy was there at the end of KO's entrance and did the same thing for him to give him some hype, you know, hype him up and whatever. And he didn't get it done. So that was kind of a bummer. Um, I know Logan needed to win, so whatever. Anyway, the next match, Bailey against Io for the women's title. This match I thought was pretty freaking badass.
Yeah.
Except the entrances were kind of weird. I thought Bailey coming out all Egyptian was weird, but then Io came out and she was like this drunken master weird shit the whole fucking way, and I was like, kind of lost me
Drunken
on
master.
the entrance a little bit. But Io, man, is one hell of a damn performer.
Yeah.
She was kicking ass. She was all over the place. Everything looked flawless. Like that girl is badass. So hell yeah, Io. We only have a couple minutes here, so straight into Cody and Roman, the main event. Lots of run-ins. Go ahead, Grim.
Story complete. But real quick, I want to say that for those of you who don't know, the guy that was supposed to be there instead of the Undertaker was Stone Cold, but they
Yep.
offered him a low ball number that he refused to show up, and that's why they had Undertaker come in, because they were supposed to have John Cena and Undertaker, which are two of the Rock's greatest rivalries.
You mean the John Cena and Stone Cold? But
Yeah.
yeah, it was sad. I did hear that he was supposed to be the guy. I didn't know that it was a money thing, but yeah, I heard it was supposed to be him. But with that being said, everybody, that has been our seventh episode of the Dro Bro Show. We have come up on our time rather quickly. I apologize, but that was our entire Mania recap. We'll be back next week with the new artist of the week, and Dro Bros out. Doja, you got anything you want to add right at the end?
Nah. Yeah. Nah. All right. Yeah. I was
Uh,
just wondering, what were our predictions?
oh shit. Um, Me and Grim picked Drew. You picked Seth. So we were right. We all picked Bobby and the Profits. We were right. Me and Grim picked LA Knight. You picked AJ. Me and Grim picked Logan. You picked KO. We all picked Bailey. Me and Grim picked Cody, and you picked Roman. So that was all of our picks there. Anyway,
All right.
everybody, thank you for watching. This has been episode 7. Dro Bros out.
Bye, guys.
Later.